Hello everyone, welcome to What Does It Actually Cost? Before the video begins, please drop a comment and tell us what you would like to see on our next How Is It Actually Made series. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy! Every year, millions of gamers power on a PlayStation without giving a second thought to how it got there. What looks like a simple gaming console is actually the result of years of engineering, thousands of workers, and one of the most advanced manufacturing processes on Earth. Long before it reaches a store shelf, the PlayStation 5 Pro has already traveled thousands of miles through factories, research labs, and assembly plants across multiple countries. So how does Sony turn a simple idea into one of the most powerful gaming consoles ever created? Today, we're following that journey from the very beginning. This is how the PlayStation 5 Pro is actually made. Before Sony became one of the biggest names in gaming, it was already changing the world through electronics. Founded in 1946 in Tokyo, Japan, Sony became as a small company repairing radios after World War II. Over the next several decades, Sony built a reputation for creating products that push technology forward: portable music players, televisions, cameras, and home audio systems. If it involved consumer electronics, chances are Sony wanted to improve it. By the early 1990s, the company had become one of the most respected technology brands in the world. But there was one industry where Sony had never truly competed: video games. At the time, gaming was dominated by companies like Nintendo and Sega. Sony wasn't expected to become a major player. In fact, many people doubted the company would compete at all. But Sony believed gaming was about to change forever. In 1994, Sony released the original PlayStation. Instead of using cartridges like many other competitors, Sony chose CDs. That decision gave developers more storage, better graphics, larger games, and a higher quality audio. It completely changed what video games could become. The gamble paid off. The original PlayStation sold over 100 million consoles, becoming one of the most successful gaming systems ever created. Sony had officially entered the gaming industry, and there was no turning back. Over the next 30 years, PlayStation continued evolving. The PlayStation 2 became the best-selling console in history. The PlayStation 3 introduced Blu-ray technology and online gaming. The PlayStation 4 became a worldwide success. Then, in 2020, Sony introduced the PlayStation 5, delivering faster loading, ray tracing, and an entirely new level of gaming performance. But Sony wasn't finished. Normally, gamers expect an entirely new console every 6 or 7 years, but instead of immediately building a PlayStation 6, Sony chose a different approach. They asked a simple question: what if they could make the PlayStation 5 even better? As televisions became more powerful and games demanded more performance, Sony saw an opportunity. Not everyone wanted to wait years for the next generation. Some players wanted better graphics, higher frame rates, sharper image quality, and more consistent performance today. The PlayStation 5 Pro was designed to deliver exactly that. But improving a console isn't as simple as replacing a few parts. Every upgrade affects something else. A faster processor creates more heat, more power requires better cooling. New technology changes how the entire system works together. Before a single PlayStation 5 Pro could ever be manufactured, Sony engineers first had to redesign the machine from the inside out, and that's where the real journey begins. Once Sony decided to create the PlayStation 5 Pro, the work moved from boardrooms to engineering labs. The challenge wasn't to build an entirely new console, it was to improve nearly every part of the existing PlayStation 5 without changing what players already loved. Engineers spent months deciding exactly what extra performance would make the biggest difference. Should games load faster? Should graphics look more realistic? Should gameplay feel smoother? Every decision had to improve the player's experience while keeping the console reliable. Hundreds of early concepts were created before a single physical prototype existed. Computer simulations allowed engineers to test different hardware layouts, airflow designs, and component placements without manufacturing anything. Only the most promising designs moved on to the next stage. Even the shape of the console serves a purpose. Every vent, opening, and internal channel helps move heat away from the components that generate it. Good cooling doesn't keep the console quiet. It helps maintain consistent performance during long gaming sessions. At the heart of every PlayStation 5 Pro is one of the most important components: the custom processor. Sony partnered with AMD to design a chip capable of handling modern games while balancing speed, graphics, and power efficiency. But designing the processor is only the beginning. Manufacturing it is an entirely different challenge. The processor is manufactured inside semiconductor fabrication plants, often called fabs. These aren't ordinary factories. They're some of the cleanest manufacturing environments on Earth. Workers wear full protective suits because even a tiny speck of dust, too small to see with the human eye, can damage a chip before it's ever finished. Inside these facilities, silicone wafers pass through hundreds of manufacturing steps. Layer after layer of microscopic circuits is added until billions of transistors are built into a processor no larger than the palm of your hand. It's one of the most advanced manufacturing processes in the world. A powerful processor alone isn't enough to build a gaming console. The PlayStation 5 Pro also needs high-speed memory, ultra-fast storage, wireless communication hardware, power management systems, and a motherboard capable of connecting everything together. Each of these parts is manufactured by specialized companies around the world. No single factory builds every component. The motherboard acts like the service system of the console. It allows every major component to communicate with one another. The processor sends information, the memory stores it temporarily, the SSD retrieves game data, and the motherboard keeps everything working together as one complete system. One of the biggest improvements in modern consoles is storage. The PlayStation 5 Pro uses an incredibly fast, solid-state drive, allowing games to load dramatically faster than older consoles that relied on traditional hard drives. For players, that means less waiting and more playing. As consoles become more powerful, they also produce more heat. If temperatures climb too high, performance can suffer. That's why cooling is one of the most important parts of the entire design. Large cooling fans constantly move air through the console, while carefully designed heat sinks pull heat away from the processor. Every vent and airflow channel inside the PlayStation 5 Pro was designed to keep temperatures under control even during demanding games. Without proper cooling, the console simply couldn't deliver the performance players expect. By this point, the PlayStation 5 Pro still isn't a finished console. Its processor has been manufactured, its memory has been produced, its storage has been assembled, and every major component has been built by different companies around the world. Now, all those parts begin their journey to one place, the assembly line. By the time every major component has been manufactured, the PlayStation 5 Pro has traveled thousands of miles. Processors, memory, storage, cooling systems, circuit boards, power supplies, they all arrive at specialized assembly facilities where the real transformation begins. This is where thousands of individual parts become one finished gaming console. Every shipment is carefully inspected before production begins. If a shipment doesn't meet Sony's quality standards, it never reaches the assembly line. Every component has to be perfect before it's installed inside the console. The first major component installed is usually the motherboard. Think of it as the foundation of the entire console. Every other major component will eventually connect to it. Without the motherboard, nothing inside the PlayStation can communicate. Next comes the processor. Because it is one of the most valuable and delicate parts of the console, it is installed with incredible precision. Automated equipment places the processor exactly where it belongs before it is permanently secured. Even a tiny mistake at this stage could prevent the console from working properly. After the processor is installed, additional components begin filling the motherboard. Memory modules, storage, wireless communication hardware, power delivery systems. One by one, the console slowly comes to life. One of the final major pieces added is the cooling system. Without it, the processor could quickly overheat during demanding games. Large heat sinks absorb heat away from the processor, while powerful cooling fans constantly move fresh air through the console. Everything has to fit together perfectly. Too much airflow creates unnecessary noise, too little airflow reduces performance. Finding the balance is one of the biggest engineering challenges Sony faces. Once the cooling system is secured, protective shields and internal supports are added. These parts help strengthen the console while protecting sensitive electronics from vibration and accidental damage. At this point, the PlayStation finally starts looking like the console gamers recognize. With the internal hardware complete, it's time to install the exterior panels. The iconic white side plates aren't just for appearance. They also help direct airflow while protecting the components inside. By the time the final panel clicks into place, the PlayStation 5 Pro finally looks complete. But despite looking finished, the console still can't leave the factory. It has one more job to complete. It has to prove that it actually works. Every PlayStation 5 Pro goes through a series of quality control inspections before it can be packaged. Technicians check every major system: power, wireless connectivity, storage, cooling, controller communication, video output. Nothing is left to chance. Some consoles are also placed under stress tests that push the hardware to its limits. The goal isn't simply to see if the console works, it's to make sure it continues working after hours of demanding gameplay. Every passing console brings Sony one step closer to delivering the experience players expect. After successfully passing every inspection, the PlayStation 5 Pro is officially ready for its final journey. But before it reaches store shelves, there's still one last chapter in the story. After passing every quality test, the PlayStation 5 Pro is finally considered a finished product. But before it can reach players, it still needs to be prepared for the journey ahead. Inside the packaging facility, each console is carefully placed in its retail box. The console itself, the DualSense controller, power cables, instruction manuals, and protective materials designed to keep everything safe during transportation. Every detail matters because this is the first time customers physically interact with the product. Packaging may seem like a small part of the process, but it plays an important role. A console could travel thousands of miles before reaching its final destination. It must survive warehouses, trucks, ships, and countless transfers while arriving in perfect condition. The PlayStation 5 Pro is a global product. Its journey doesn't end when it leaves the factory. Instead, it enters one of the largest logistics networks in the world. Boxes of consoles are loaded into shipping containers, transported across oceans, moved through distribution centers, and eventually delivered to retailers. Behind every console sitting on a store shelf is a complex system of transportation and planning. Companies have to predict demand, manage inventory, and make sure enough consoles are available when customers want them. A product that took years to design can depend on a single shipping delay or supply problem. Eventually, the PlayStation 5 Pro reaches retailers around the world. From major electronics stores to online marketplaces, the console is placed where millions of customers can finally purchase it. At this point, the journey from engineering concept to consumer product is almost complete. What started as an idea inside Sony's engineering departments has traveled through factories, suppliers, assembly lines, testing facilities, and distribution networks. A machine that looks simple on the outside represents a massive global effort behind the scenes. Finally, after months of planning and thousands of miles traveled, the PlayStation 5 Pro reaches its final destination, a player's home. The same console that passed through advanced manufacturing facilities and global supply chains is now sitting under a television ready to create completely new experiences. When a player picks up the controller, they only see the finished product. They don't see the engineers who designed it, they don't see the factories that produce the components, they don't see thousands of people involved in bringing it together, but every one of those steps is part of the story. The PlayStation 5 Pro is more than just a gaming console. It is a result of decades of Sony's innovation, advanced engineering, global manufacturing, and thousands of people working towards one goal. From the first concept sketches, to the smallest electronic components, to the final console powering on in someone's home. The journey of the PlayStation 5 Pro shows just how much work goes into creating the technology we use every day. And that's how the PlayStation 5 Pro is actually made.